Thank you so much for joining us on the Dwelling Show. I'm your host, Ola Dantes. I've got the legendary Ryan Sauelle with us today. Hey, Ryan, how are you doing today?
Good. How's everything?
Going well, going well. Just before we started recording, I was like, are you actually one of your flip properties? And you were like, yeah, well, no, but it's kind of one of your spots, so I really like the background. You just kind of getting on with it. So for the Dwell listeners listening in today, Ryan, do you want to tell us who you are, what you do, and kind of what you've been up to lately?
Sure. First off, thank you for having me. And my name is Ryan Sauelle. I am from Staten Island, New York, and my partner and I own a company called Freedom Home Development Corporation, Freedom Home Buyers, and primarily we flip houses, wholesale, have multiple buy and holds, and as well as starting to build out a property management side to the company.
Wow, that is a lot, man. That is a lot, and you look pretty young as well. So yeah, we definitely want to, jump on that a little bit. So before we go into all of that, all your kind of lines of business, property management, buy and holds, wholesaling, flips. I mean, that's like four, LOBs, lines of business. So that's a lot. But before we even go into any of that with Freedom Home Buyers, how did you get started in this game called real estate investing? Can you just kind of tell us that story first?
This big roller coaster game?
Yeah.
I actually got started, I guess, through my brother. So I worked for the Department of Education for about 5 years. And while doing that, my father's on the handy side. He's from the construction background, a fireman. So one of my brother's friends were flipping a property, didn't really know what it was. And so we went in there, kind of renovated the property for him. And then from there, I started looking into it a little bit more. And then from there, I decided to just quit Department of Ed. And I went in this full time about 2 years ago now.
Wow, you quit your job. Many people have been trying to do that through real estate investing, but I've been scared for whatever reason. And for, for good reasons, actually, because if you quit your day job like you did with the Department of Ed, now you have to figure out or have to make this real estate investing game work for you. So, before you quit your job, did you have to what were the things that you had to do? Were you worried? And, if you were or if you weren't, I mean, how was that decision was for you? Was it pretty easy or was it pretty straightforward? And how is I like to call it the, the good side, which is quitting your job. How is that working out for you?
It's well, everything's well. It was a pretty straightforward, easy decision for me. I instantly developed a love for it. Unfortunately, I was single at the time, so I didn't have any, wife or kids to worry about, which always helps. But so to me, that was the benefit of just quitting. It was almost like a no-brainer decision. And I just figured if I was really going to make this work and take off with it full time, it would have to be full time. So.
And are you kind of somewhere on the beach for the most, sipping margaritas, enjoying yourself? Is that kind of what, quitting your day job looks like?
No, it's the complete opposite of that. So it's working double what you did when you had a job, but it's just different. It's a different type of work. When you work for yourself, it's a little bit different,
Yeah. I definitely wanted to bring that up.
No pina coladas on the beach yet.
Not yet. Okay, almost. All right, quick. So, so how did you first kind of jump into the first game? What was the first deal like? Can you kind of take us through, how did you find that deal and how did you fund that deal? And kind of give us a story of, how the deal came about and, kind of what you did with it.
Sure. So, well, the very first one, which technically wasn't my deal, was where we got started with the renovation side. So we rehabbed the property. It was myself, my brother, my father doing the work. And then from there, we branched out and started the company. And then the first deal we found on an auction site. And then we purchased it with using hard money and personal capital between myself, my brother, and then my partner now, his name is Michael. He's a realtor at the time, still is, and he was getting me into the properties. That was how we got the first one.
Awesome. So what were the numbers on that deal?
The numbers we purchased for was 150,000. We put in about 70,000. Uh, so we like 220, and we sold it. We listed it for three. Well, we started a little high, but we ended up selling it for 350.
All right, so pretty good deal, kind of, it's kind of get your feet wet. So you're thinking, wow, this is pretty good. I can keep doing this, for sure. Is that kind of when you guys maybe started thinking about buy and holds, or why did you guys even started buying buy and holds, or even get into to wholesaling anyway?
I think long term the strategy is buy and hold. So that is like the long term focus. That's what we're striving for. And the flips and the wholesale is almost just to generate capital. Being that I left my job, my partner is also in this full time. So we flip and we wholesale to get our profits, and then we store them into the buy and holds. And the property management is coming in play. We're managing our own rentals, so we're going to build that out as well.
All right, so I'm gonna do a quick U-turn into mindset, right? So if there's somebody listening to us and going, I have a job, probably kind of similar to what Ryan had at the Department of Education. I want to flip houses, I want to wholesale houses, but I'm scared. I don't know what to do. What do you say to that person?
Good question. I just want to say, just go for it. That's, there's no easy answer. There's no way to sugarcoat it. You'd have to just make a decision, and you need to be all in it mentally to do so. You need to be fully committed, fully there, and you have to really say you're going to do it.
Okay. All right. So, in terms of like wholesaling as well, how did you guys get into that? And, did you guys have a ton? Did you have to pay like a mentor to help you kind of get into wholesaling, or was your partner good at it? Or, how did you guys kind of get your feet into the whole wholesaling deal?
How do we get into wholesaling? No mentor, so we're pretty self learned. Never really had a mentor. Never studied from anyone, under anyone. My partner as well. We kind of took it on full steam, and flipping was, I would say, had an advantage there, being that we somewhat of a construction family background, so that helps, and knowing people in the trade. And the wholesaling part came that we were flipping too many, and we were like, instead of tying up all this capital in this market, like we'll wholesale like when we get a little busy, and then
Okay.
the multi-families come with the buy
Oh,
and hold.
okay, nice. So you're definitely thinking about multifamily, right? You're definitely thinking about buy and hold. So, these are like radically different strategies from, buying a house, flipping it, putting it on the market. So why are you guys thinking about that long term? I'm just kind of curious.
I think that's I guess the wealth game. The flipping, the wholesaling is short-term capital. It's nice, but it's not. You have to always be doing it to make the money. And so once you start going into the buy and holds, you start racking up some houses. You get the passive income. I guess that's the real, feel like, life
Reti-
changer.
yeah,
Yeah,
the retirement plan, right?
that's
Right.
that's when the pina coladas come on the beach.
I like that. I like that. Okay, so you've been flipping now for some time, right? Obviously, you guys are not using a ton of contractors because you guys are doing most of the work yourself. You have that, certain skill set to do that. What would you say are the things that you've actually learned, actually flipping a home?
Um, there's a lot of ups and downs with it. There's definitely a learning curve. Flipping home, so each house has their own problem. Luckily, there hasn't been any financial problems. We still have been in the green. So, but out here in Jersey, there's underground oil tanks, which could be a problem. We've had contractor issues, very rare, but contractor issues on some. So it's not everything is, it's not a perfect world where everything goes smooth, but you overcome it, and you get better on the next one.
So can you give us an example? I really like the oil tanks that you mentioned. Can you give us a specific example? You can use the oil tank to, where you found the problem, and how did you guys specifically deal with that? Because when we were flipping in our company, that dwelling, we got a few issues here and there, and sometimes, because you haven't faced that issue before, you don't necessarily know how to handle it. So maybe there's somebody listening to us, and maybe they're flipping right now, or maybe they want to start flipping, and if they ever have that kind of issue, they know how to actually tackle it. So can you give us a particular issue that you guys actually discovered, and then how did you guys manage it and kind of get it on the wraps pretty quickly?
Sure. So I'll give you two. I'll do the contractor one, and I'll give you an oil tank one. But oil tank, we haven't really had an issue with them. I would just say there are circumstances where they are underground, and that could cause contamination. So I would always recommend getting a sweep done out here. Some towns and some places might not even have oil tanks on the ground, but out here it's pretty common. And if there's contamination, I learned this just through networking. If there's contamination, it could lead to a 10, 20, $30,000 problem if it's that bad. Luckily haven't, we found them beforehand. We had some removed, but there was never contamination. But I've had heard some bad stories where, people were stuck with, contamination oil tank once they purchased a home. And the second example is when dealing with contractors, even though we are contractor background, we do the work ourselves on some when we started. Now we do a lot less, I would say. But make sure the contracts are concrete. That's something what I work on is making sure the contract's concrete, and I always like to stay ahead of the curve when paying contractors. So no, we always pay, but I rather them get the work done and then get paid, and not the other way around where you're chasing down people for money.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Even now with, some of my properties, I make sure that, the contractor actually takes a video and WhatsApp it to me, right?
Yeah.
And then, before, sometimes I might even have to go there or, get FaceTime them to ensure that the job is actually done. And I even get the tenants to say, oh, can you go, and look at this thing in the back or whatever, and let me know if it's done before I actually send that Cash App, transfer, or PayPal or whatever. I make sure I always do that. So yeah, that's a great one. Is there anything else before we go into the quick round that you're just gonna want to add, to everything that we've talked about here? Maybe for the dual listeners, or maybe just to help someone, or just anything in general you want to talk before we get into the quick rounds?
Hey, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, no, I was just saying, is there anything you would like to talk about before we get into the quick rounds?
No.
Okay. All right.
I would just say, if you're someone who's thinking about leaving their job, I would say go for it. If circumstances, not everyone has I would say the ability to do so. But if it's something you want, I would say, go make it happen.
Sweet. All right. So we're definitely dwelling into the quick rounds. These are going to be quick questions, quick answers. You ready, sir?
Yes.
All right. First question. What makes you, Ryan, unique? What is that differentiating factor that separates you from the next guy or the next girl?
What makes me unique? Probably my hair color.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You share that with Ed Sheeran. So anybody listening to this on iTunes, you definitely want to go and check this out on YouTube. Second question. What was the last book that you read, and what was the one thing that you picked out from that book?
The last book I read was The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willings and Leif Babin. It's their second book from Extreme Ownership.
Okay.
Book on leadership. They're two Navy SEALs that turned into leaderships now. That's their main thing. And I think it's the main thing to take away from that is the balance between, when to lead, when to follow, when to stand firm, and when to let things go. So it's all about the balance. You can't be too hard. You can't be too soft. You gotta find the middle ground.
Yeah, I know Extreme Leadership, but I haven't heard of the Dichotomy of Leadership. I've got to check that out.
Very, very good book.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. So definitely you've got all your projects running, just before we got on the call, I know you're just kind of trying to get started. There's a ton of things happening with you guys right now. What do you do for fun?
No fun. No. When I'm not here in the grind, I do like stepping away. I'm into golf now. Just got started about a year or so ago, and then I also love camping when the weather's nice, and then when it's a little cold, I'm into skiing and
nice.
Other than that, just hanging out with friends and family.
Awesome. Okay. So if there's somebody in the Staten Island area or just, anywhere in the country, and they're thinking, wow, I want to connect with Ryan, I want to know more about, Freedom Home Buyers or whatever, what is the best place people can reach out to you, connect with you, get to know you more?
I'm pretty active on Bigger Pockets. That's a real estate site. We met on there, so definitely there. And you could also send me an email. Email is probably the best way to reach me.
We
I,
can put that in the show notes.
I can put that in the show. Should I tell you? Or put it in
Yeah,
the show.
yeah, you can tell us too.
Yeah, so it's Ryan at freedomhomebuyernj.com.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
put that in the show notes.
Yeah, awesome. I really appreciate you, Ryan. Lentatonia, really, glad talking to you. I really appreciate what you're doing. Can't wait to see how you guys kind of progress from here on now in that market. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.